Hello and welcome, everyone. Get ready to explore the absolutely fascinating world of one of our closest relatives in the entire animal kingdom. Say hello to the chimpanzee. They are so intelligent, so social, and in a ton of ways incredibly similar to us. But the real question is, just how similar are we? Well, there's your answer 98.7%. That is the staggering amount of DNA we share with chimpanzees. It's kind of mind blowing to think that everything that separates our species is packed into that tiny little difference. So, what does that 98.7% really mean for them? What makes them tick? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about everything you need to know about chimpanzees. So, let's get into it. Okay, first up, let's cover the fundamentals. Chimp 101. Who are these incredible animals, and where on earth can you actually find them? So scientifically, they're known as pan-troglodytes, and fun fact, that name roughly translates to cave dweller, which is a little funny because they actually live in forests. They are, of course, mammals, and they're part of that exclusive great ape family, which includes gorillas, orangutans, and yep, us humans. Now, you won't find them just anywhere. Chimps actually have the widest geographic distribution of any great ape, but they are found exclusively across this band of West and Central Africa. They're pretty adaptable too, living in everything from dense tropical rainforests to more open woodlands and grasslands. So let's talk numbers, because this is important. The total number of chimps left in the wild is somewhere between 170,000 and 300,000. And as you can see, the vast majority of them are living in Central Africa. But here's the tough part. Sadly, this makes them an endangered species. They're facing constant threats from things like habitat loss and poaching. Alright, now let's zoom in on a chimp's life. We're going to look at their entire life cycle, from being a tiny infant all the way to adulthood. How do they grow, and what do they eat to survive out there? The life of a chimp follows a path that's really not so different from our own. It all starts with an 8-month gestation period, pretty close to ours. Then comes years of being an infant and a juvenile, where learning is absolutely everything. They finally reach adulthood around age 15 and can live for about 45 years in the wild, though sometimes even longer in captivity. The mother's role is just huge. A mother chimp usually gives birth to a single infant every 3 to 4 years, and that little baby is completely dependent on her, clinging to her fur for the first few months. For years and years, the mother and the rest of the troop will teach that young chimp all the essential skills for survival, everything from how to find food to how to navigate their super complex social world. So what kind of food are they learning to find? Well, for a long time, scientists actually thought chimps were just herbivores, but now we know better. They're omnivores, just like us. And their diet is incredibly varied. Seriously, what's on the menu? The bulk of it is fruits and plants, sure, but they are also super resourceful hunters and foragers. They'll eat everything from termites and eggs to occasionally even hunting smaller animals, including monkeys. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating parts of chimp life, their incredibly complex social worlds. It's really something else. Yeah, chimps are not loners. They live in these big social groups called communities or troops, which can have as few as 15 members or as many as 150. And these groups have really intricate structures and hierarchies that pretty much govern their entire daily lives. So, in a group that big and that complex, the obvious question is, who's in charge here? Well, the leader of the group is called the alpha male. But here's the interesting part. Getting to the top isn't just about being the biggest and the strongest. Sure, some chimps rule through pure brute strength and intimidation. But others? Others are much more political. And it turns out, the most successful alphas are often clever politicians who are great at building alliances. And get this, the females hold a surprising amount of power. If a group of high-ranking females decides they don't like the alpha's leadership, they can actually team up to kick him out and back a new male they prefer. Talk about girl power. Their mating system is also pretty fluid. There isn't a specific breeding season, and they have what's called a polyandrous system. All that means is that both males and females have multiple partners. This actually helps cut down on conflict within the troop and helps strengthen all their social bonds. Alright, for our final section, let's look at the relationships chimps have with other species, and then wrap things up with some fun facts that really make them stand out. Out in the wild, a chimp's main enemies are big predators, like leopards and lions. But their friends? Their friends are all found right inside their own troop. They form these incredibly strong bonds and political alliances, which they're constantly working on and reinforcing through the really important social activity of grooming one another. And finally, here are 5 amazing facts that just show how remarkable chimpanzees truly are. First, they are total masters of tool use. They cleverly use sticks to fish for termites, and will even crumple up leaves to use them as sponges. Second, they're expert builders. They make a fresh, brand new nest high up in the trees to sleep in every single night. Third, they're ticklish. No joke, just like us, they have this playful, open-mouthed grin when you tickle them. Fourth, they have some serious super strength, about 1.5 times stronger than humans, all thanks to their muscle fibers. And fifth, they are complex communicators, using a huge range of sounds, gestures, and facial expressions to talk to one another. So when you look at their complex social lives, their intelligence, their capacity for both kindness and conflict, it kind of leaves you with one big thought. As our closest living relatives, what can chimpanzees really teach us about ourselves? Alrighty, that is it for this video, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.